All right, first thing we're going to do is stand with me, please. We're going to say a prayer and then say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, we come before you this evening thanking you for this beautiful day that you've given us and for all the blessings that you give us. We ask that you continue to bless our lives. Lord, please watch over this meeting tonight and guide our hearts and minds to make decisions that are in the best interest of our water system and its members. Lord, we ask that you watch over and protect our military men and women, our first responders, all those that work to keep us free and safe every day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Rob?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we do have a quorum. We have all the members, board members here tonight. Audio and video recorders are in use. And if anybody wants to address the board, please fill out the member form sign-up sheet. It's at the lobby by the front door back there. First item on the agenda, employee recognition. This is always a fun one.
Yes, we are recognizing Doug Hope, 10-year anniversary tonight. He works in Mark Turner's group, in the sewer collection group. Doug cannot be here with us tonight, but Clinton and I will get with him and present him with our
Certificate.
certificate. What is it called? A certificate, and thank him for his service. Whatever it's called.
Pat on the back.
Pat on the
Yeah,
back.
that's excellent. I always love seeing those. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes and transcripts. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to look over them. There was the July 9th, 2024 Open Capital Funding Workshop minutes and the July 16th regular meeting minutes and transcripts. Does anyone want to, let's see, thank you.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve both as written. I don't have any changes. Second.
All right. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Approval of memberships. July new memberships, 391. Cancel memberships were 363 and transfers were 0. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
And we got 2 seconds, so
Mark Beaton.
Mark. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Unfinished business. All right. First item under this is the club at Hidden Creek purchase proposal. Last meeting, as y'all recall, we discussed putting the club at Hidden Creek up for sale, and there was a lot of discussion. A lot of members wanted to speak, and we heard a lot of really good feedback. We decided we were going to have a meeting to move forward, but we decided the meeting before we actually agreed that the board wanted to move forward. So at the board tonight, we're going to put this up for a yes or no vote, whether the board is willing to move forward with the wishes to formalize the discussion, and if the board is willing at this time to move forward with the sale of the club at Hidden Creek, we're going to put together a workshop for that. We thought it would be a waste of time to have a workshop when we didn't even know if the board was ready to move forward with this or not. So, all right. So staff recommendation, hold a vote to determine if the board wishes to proceed with the process of updating the purchase documents for the sale of the club at Hidden Creek and set a date for the next discussion or meeting. Do I have a motion? And I'm sure there's going to be some discussion.
So moved.
All right. So we have a motion.
Second for discussion.
And second for discussion, okay.
Clarify the motion, please.
What was?
What is the motion? Yeah, clarify the motion, please.
Okay, here's my motion. I make a motion that the board have a meeting to discuss the disposition of the club at Hidden Creek. And at that meeting, we will determine the terms that we wish to proceed with.
So I didn't think that was the motion we were discussing now. I thought the
Basically, the motion, I think that what the president wanted us to do was make a motion to sell the golf course. And I don't want to make that, and I'm not going to make that motion.
Not necessarily to sell the golf course, but to.
I want to
put it up for
have
sale.
a discussion about selling the golf course. That's what the meeting
How about a
was all
motion
about.
to move forward to research and discuss what is needed to sell the golf course?
Second.
Something along those lines.
That's beautiful.
So can you state that one more time?
I move that we, now I lost my train of thought, what was I saying? That we have, move forward in researching the sale of the golf course.
Second.
Okay. So motion is to move forward with researching and discussing the terms and conditions for the sale of the club at Hidden Creek. So nothing concrete, but we're setting a date so that we can have this discussion
Exactly.
in an open forum, obviously.
Okay, but, so are we in discussion?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so to me, research implies we're going to expend some funds.
No.
Okay, then, if that's not to expend funds, if it is still, we're going to gather with public input, sit and talk about, are we still discussing, do we want to sell? I mean, my understanding of this agenda item was, and I think you said it when we started, why do anything until we have at least 4 of us, a majority, that say, I'm ready to sell the course? So if we're saying, so if nobody wants to say, I'm ready to sell the course until we talk about it, fine. But that's, the agenda tonight, this agenda item I thought was, if 4 of us don't say, the agenda item was to say, are there at least 4 of us who want to say, I don't care, implications, nothing, without thinking about it, I'm ready to sell the course. That's what I thought we were going to talk about on this vote. And that's what I thought the vote was for.
I did too.
And that's what I was hoping for.
Okay.
Right?
Here's my point, okay? And this has been since the beginning. In my mind, we as a board need to sit down and determine what conditions we would sell the golf course under. Because I'm sure all 7 of us up here have different ideas as to what that's going to look like. And until I know what the entire plan is, I'm not willing to say, yes, I agree with you. We're saying tonight, we're going to sell the golf course, and then we're going to come up to with the terms and conditions. I want to see the terms and conditions before I decide that I'm going to sell it. Just like I would say about anything else. It doesn't make any sense to me for us to lock ourselves in to something without knowing what it is that we're locking ourselves into.
But you're saying there is a set of terms and conditions under which you would agree to sell for? Yeah.
If the terms and conditions are that, we're going to give it away for $1 and we're going to micromanage whoever goes out there, then it's not working. We're just spinning our wheels. Same way we did it last time. If we're going to make a true effort to and come up with real terms, then yeah, we're ready to. See if we
Then
can
we
get
have
by.
the same conundrum where we sit down at this meeting and we may have 4 board members that are absolutely not willing to move forward with the sale, and then we waste a lot
I
of
think
time.
you can vote against having the discussion to sell the golf course if you're against it.
So, if I may, I'll pose another question. So,
Yeah.
I understand what Daryl's saying, so I'll pose the question. We don't know if we want to sell the golf course yet until we can decide what do we want for the conditions for selling the golf course. Okay? Well, I agree with that, I understand that. So if we're going to do that, I think we could say the exact same thing about Messi. Now, I'll speak for myself and what I think almost everybody else up here is thinking. There's no way in Hades we're going to sell Messi. We can say that right now. what can we say about the course? Are there 4 of us that are saying, we are ready to get rid of that course? Whether it's because of the heartache with some of our members, or it's just that every year we're going back and forth, back and forth. That's what I thought this agenda item was for. And to me, you can say the same thing about Messi. I mean, our 2 subsidiaries, certainly, there would be some conditions we would sell Messi. Do we want to discuss that also at this workshop?
I don't think any of us have an appetite.
I would like to
sell
remove
Messi.
that, well, no, you made the motion, didn't you? It wasn't me.
Rob did. Yeah, Rob.
Mr. President, who seconded that motion, just so I can be clear? Or has there been a second?
If I did, I'm taking my second back. I wouldn't want to be second on that one. I've got another motion.
Daryl seconded Rob's motion.
Who did?
Daryl.
I did.
And so does the second stand, or?
No, it does not.
Okay, so,
Yeah, let's get it right.
so unless you get a second, you don't have a motion, and it would die.
I'm not opposed to discussing, okay? Kind of like Daryl, what are the terms? A, the easement, and the spray field, the protection is number 1 forever. And once we sell it, it's not our property, and there could be issues, as legal said. The other thing is, Eggland's not done yet. So what happens then? Are we putting the cart before the horse and say, hey, let's delay this until once Eggland's done, then we do this sort of thing? So I agree wholeheartedly, Darryl. I know people think we don't agree a lot, but we do. And this is one case of until the terms and conditions are met and legal has said, yes, we have some recourse. Here's my concern. We sell it, somebody decides they're going to do something that's against the contract, and then we have to take them to court and spend member monies to get that back when we give it away, when we sold something we own. Right? So I'm all for discussing. If the motion is to have a workshop or a discussion, as we talked about, I'll vote yes for that. But just out and out, moving forward, yes, I want to sell it without seeing the conditions, I wouldn't.
So is that a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll keep it second.
I don't think.
So there's a motion and a second, so now we can have discussion.
Again, I see it as the wrong time to do it. I think Eglin needs to be on board before we turn over operation of the golf course to someone else, however that might be. I think right now the golf course is in a pretty good place. It's running well, and the numbers are turning pretty good right now. I just don't see any good reason to go through this effort, and I see it as somewhat of a futile effort too, just because who's going to buy it, I mean, but maybe there's somebody out there. I think it'd be better if we kick this can down the road another year or whatever until Lakeland's on board and up and running, and that's my opinion on it.
So, go ahead, Daryl, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to follow up with Mark. Eglin doesn't matter. It has no bearing whatsoever on it. Because unless we can ensure that our easement stays, then it's a no-brainer. We don't ever get rid of the golf course. We keep it for that easement. And that doesn't matter whether Eglin's open or not. Once Eglin's open, we still need that as an outlet. We've discussed that since day one. So we have to make sure that the discussion will allow us to make sure that we'll be able to meet those goals. If we know, and that discussion has to happen. If you want to have it from now on, it's going to be the same discussion, because it doesn't matter whether Eglin's online or not. You have to keep that.
So our attorney has advised us the only way to have total control is to own it. And, I think Eglin does matter, because once we have an additional place that we can dispose effluent, then it does make it to where, well, if someone did put a lock on the door and say, no, you can't spray on this anymore, we had to go through a legal battle, we would still have an outlet to dispose effluent.
I'm sure, well, that's an attorney question. I'm not an attorney, but I would imagine that the discussions are going to be the same regardless. And for one, I know that whatever contract we do come up with, it's going to have one number that sells it as a golf course, that we retain the rights on it as a spray field, and then it's going to have another number on it that if they ever get rid of that spray field, or ever cost us that spray field, that number's gonna have a couple of extra zeros on it.
But how do you
Because
get money out of somebody that goes belly up?
Why do you worry about getting money out of
Well,
somebody?
you're saying there's gonna be damages if they close the spray field, you know? I'm just looking at all possibilities out there.
So right now,
I think we need to vote.
all right, so here's the deal. So according to Phil, right, we're still gonna need the Club Hidden Creek as a spray field for the 1+ million gallons of effluent we spray there every day. So we're still gonna need that. So the Eglin project really should not have anything to do with what we're talking about here. And obviously, if Daryl, if we were to say, you know, we've got 4 board members or however many that are willing to sell the golf course, doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to sell it, and we have to sell it. I mean, obviously, we have terms and conditions we still have to come up with.
Yeah, obviously somebody's gonna have to meet the terms and conditions that the board of directors
Right.
sets. So you may never have anybody to do that.
So we have a motion on the table to move forward with discussion. And for that, we have decided we're going to come up with some kind of a workshop or a meeting. Obviously, the members are all invited as well. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, if this passes, are we setting a date today, as we said a month ago?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, I've got.
For just discussions, right? That's what we're voting on. Just
Discussion.
discussions.
We set a date tonight for discussion. The motion passes 5-2. And, does everybody have a date in mind that they would like?
Throw it out September 5th, but that was just an idea. That wasn't etched in stone by any means.
I'm just out the week of September 9th. Other than that, my calendar's fairly open.
September 5th works for me. That's on Thursday. Okay.
What time?
I think it'd be late afternoon. Before we have the meeting.
Well, we're gonna have an open meeting with the public, so.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm thinking 5+.
I'd say 5 o'clock.
Was there a date?
September 5th?
How about we ask people in the audience? 5 or 6, or 4?
I don't know about most working people, but 6 o'clock was, and I got here 10 minutes early,
Yeah,
so I was able to do a 6.
yeah. I was thinking.
5 o'clock is awfully close to quit time for most folks.
Okay, so 6 o'clock would work better.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Don't know how I'll get here on the 5th either, since I'll be in Baltimore, but I prefer to do it. I'd sure like to be here to discuss what that means to the members personally. How much do I pay for the car today, monthly? How much will I get reduced on my bill monthly when the course is gone?
What bill are you talking about?
I think he
And I
learned a
guess
lot
when
of
I
that
stand up
discussion.
on the podium,
He learned a lot of that
I'd be
discussion.
happy to. Ken Ingram, part of the water.
There is no
water system.
There is no
right?
portion of this.
So I'm new to the area, only been here a short time.
Okay.
I've watched a lot of the film, lots of complaints over the cost of the club. What does that mean to me? How much do I pay monthly to run the club? How much will I have my bill reduced monthly when there's no more club? Because you're not going to sell it and just keep the money, right? Every year we go through a budget. How much will I expect to not have increased after it's sold? Is it worth $1 a month to me to make sure that I have a spray field for the future? Yeah. Poor management in the past should not reflect the way we deal in the future. That's what I'd like to know.
And I'll, if I may?
I think that could be a good part of this discussion.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ingram, just so you know, spray field costs are $314,000 a year. This year, this board has given $169,000 for those spray field costs. So actually, the golf course is sucking up about $150,000 by golf operations being there. It's saving members $150,000 a year.
Year's not over yet.
So the year's not over yet, I got that. But if we're talking moving forward and making it a viable proposition to sell in the future, then maybe we need to look at having the golf course stand on its own, and then the golf course is paying for the spray field versus members. Because in members' eyes right now, they're supporting golf, and that's not necessarily true, right? So, but that, again, part of the discussion.
Does Messi make us money?
Yes.
Enough to keep it alive?
Yes, he gives back.
And we don't worry about it because it's managed properly? Again, if it was managed properly and made money, and it guarantees us a spray field, especially as we grow, what's the issue?
There's a lot of issues, but
I'm sure.
the main one is in the past, the water company members have been funneling money into that golf course for a number of reasons. And it's a not-for-profit company that owns a for-profit company.
Is
Which-
Messi a profit company?
Yes, he's definitely a for-profit
So I
company.
guess I agree with Mr. Linnell, if you're gonna sell off your for-profit, sell them all off and reduce my bill even more. If you're not gonna be in the for-profit business, then don't be in the for-profit business. Right?
For a company that's not making money, yeah.
Again,
Yes.
mismanagement doesn't necessarily mean future performance, right?
Again, I mean, you were here last
Yes.
meeting, correct, right? We discussed the golf course could be a phenomenal place for this community. It really could. It's still a nice place. Don't get me wrong. It's in good shape, and it's very pleasant when I go there. But you've got a room inside that's built for a restaurant. You've got people in the community that would love to have a restaurant there. But the board doesn't have the will to put a restaurant in there because it would cost us too much money. And this board of directors is concerned with the Holly Bar water system. That's our priority. The golf course is secondary to that. So if somebody were to take over the golf course, buy the golf course, we retain the spray field rights, they could turn it into something really fantastic. But this board, the Holly Navarre water system, will not do this. We're going to maintain it, keep it up, keep it clean, keep the greens, cut everything like it's supposed to be. But at least while I'm on the board, I hope we don't start funneling a bunch of money into that, hoping we're going to make money back. It's different. With Messi, they create money, they make money. And with the golf course, up until this year and maybe last year, they were losing money every year. And the water company members were having to sustain the golf course. So that's my purpose for trying to get this out from underneath Hollingford water system.
And I'm not arguing with you. Again, I'll just say mismanagement or past performance doesn't necessarily speak for the future performance. And if we're really concerned about the Holly Navarre water system, what I heard last month was, regardless of what you do with Eglin, you still got to have 1.3 million gallons sprayed every single day. I watch it being sprayed every day. Where are you going to spray it if I buy the thing, turn around 6 months later, go bankrupt and sell it to the gentleman there on the third who says, I don't want to have a spray field. You can sue me all day long, you're not going to get anything, right? As I go on with it. So those kinds of situations, unless you can have something written into foreverness, which I don't know how you do that, we lose control. And I don't know where you're going to spray that much water. How long did it take Eglin to get on board?
20 years?
Mr. President, I think this is a discussion.
Discussion.
September the 5th,
Yes.
you're having a meeting, because we can sit here all night long and talk about this stuff and never get the business done.
Correct, I agree. So, all right, so we've set a date, September 5th at 6 p.m. And that's going to be the workshop / discussion for Holy Bar water system to sell the flood increase. All right. Number 2, under unfinished business, vehicle replacement policy, Mr. Krigler.
Yes, thank you. So, we had a couple of comments last month on this policy. We've made some revisions. You'll see in tab 2, main revisions are we added that that we would sell these vehicles for not less than the Kelley Blue Book private party low value. As y'all know, there's a spectrum on the Kelley Blue Book. So private party low value, we think that'd be essentially like a reserve. And then the process would be, we would try to, by sealed bid, try to offer our members a chance to buy. If that doesn't work, we would do a sealed bid for the general public. That'd be advertised in the newspaper. And then if for some reason we still aren't able to sell them, we would do a live auction. What we put in here, we didn't want to get into the details of the live auction. We just said details of the live auction, if needed, will be determined by the board of directors, since you have to schedule it and there's times and who's going to call it out and all that stuff. So we think this kind of covers the process. We should be able to get rid of these vehicles and recoup some funds from it. So.
Did it also state the age or mileage?
Yep.
Yes, that's in that part was, yeah, that was not a comment, that was from the first iteration. That's the 7 years or 150,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we have to approve the revised vehicle replacement policy as in our packet.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
And Mike, for a second, I have a motion and a second to approve revised vehicle replacement policy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Where's our new vehicles?
6 of them are across the street.
Oh. Board members get a chance to drive them around for a little bit.
Yeah. You gotta put gas on them.
All right. There we go. All right, number 3, Santa Rosa County Public Works paving reimbursement, Mr. Krigler.
Yeah, so back in March, I notified the board that Santa Rosa County's paving contractor would be repaving some streets within our franchise, and that they would be adjusting the manholes that they pave over. This is for the roads where they pave over, and we have gravity sewer system with manholes in the road. At the time, we thought it would be about $24,000. They've since done that work. Turned out it was $27,048.42. It was 21 manholes that were adjusted. So we're asking the board to approve reimbursement to Santa Rosa County for that work.
So moved. All right, Mark
Second.
and Mike. We have a motion and a second to approve reimbursement to Santa Rosa County for the paving project in the amount of $27,048.42. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, under new business. Employee health benefits, Mr. Krigler.
Yes, I'll start this off. So it's that time of year again where we renew our health insurance plan. It runs from October 1 to October 1 of the following year. We have one digital with us tonight, our benefits consultant. This is Chad Rich, Gene Hansen. They'll be talking about some of the specifics, but basically they've obtained quotes for the renewal of our plan. Initially, it came in pretty high. They've done some really good work to get that down. They're going to be talking us through that and explaining that. They even looked at some other plans, including United Healthcare and Cigna. So they've looked at several different options, and we think we've arrived at a good place and allows us the ability to proceed with the renewal of the current plan. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Len and let them kind of walk you through the different options that they looked at.
Thank you very much. And One Digital does appreciate the opportunity for us to be able to handle the benefits. And, you know, I do like to say that we do take this very seriously. I mean, we look at it from the employee perspective, and we want to make sure that you are who we're working for. We're not representing insurance companies. But what we did was we formulated a request for a proposal. We sent it out to Florida Blue. We sent it out to United, as was mentioned, Cigna, Humana. We went out to every possible resource that we could in this geographical market, and also looked at the dental, life, disability, absolutely everything. So all of those insurances were sent out to bid. So meanwhile, while we're doing that, we also negotiate with Florida Blue. And it was mentioned that due to claims, the renewal initially came in at exactly 39.64%. And just a little bit of landscape as far as what we're seeing in not only this market, but we're also seeing we're nationwide. So I have a pulse on also what's happening in the rest of Florida, and we really are seeing higher renewals ranging from our October renewal batch, for instance, was ranging from around 20% to even 80%. And that is for the mid-market segment, which is generally from 50 employees all the way to 300, which is what insurance companies consider mid-market. So once we received that renewal, we immediately began to negotiate with the underwriters, and we took it up to their management level, and that was negotiated down to 19%. Once we received the 19%, we knew of another newer platform called balance funding. Okay, balance funding is how we were able to actually reduce the renewal further down to 10%. Okay, so that's where we stand right now with your current plan structure, exactly as is. And I did want to mention where some of those other carriers landed, because that was the most competitive thing right now, keeping the current plan structure. When other benchmarks were looked at, United was around 29%, Cigna was around 22%, received a declination because they weren't competitive from Humana. So really looked at the market from all perspectives. And looking at the balance funded model, it's going to walk, act, talk just like your exact same plans that you have now. But there's one advantage, and we were actually really pleased that it was a much further discount from where we ended up at, because we had the ability to get premiums back. So if we get to see our claims, and if our claims are running better than the premium then, we can actually receive refunds of premiums. So there's no risk to Holly Navarre Water Systems. So anytime we do have an offer from an insurance company that is on a balance funded style model is what it is, it really is a great thing to jump on, because a lot of times the insurance companies won't even give you an offer for that type of model due to claims. Now, we did have higher than usual claims this particular year, and hopefully, those things kind of ebb and flow, and hopefully that will get back in line. And it's kind of like a hurricane. You kind of get one every so many years. So we ended up at that 10%, and we did also take that balance funding model, and we ran an alternative as well, which bumped that deductible up to $1,000, which got us to a 7.45%, which was shown in the highlights. We looked at the dental, and we found one carrier that was the most competitive, which we put on the sheet, but as it turned out, that the current structure, they gave us an increase, but they reduced their rates back to hold a flat renewal, and there was no increase on those. So they ended up being the most competitive there. So really the discussion would be that, look at, do we want to proceed with the balance funding model? Do you have any questions that I can answer, or market questions in general?
I have a quick question for the balance funding model. Under no circumstances would our rates increase, even no matter how many claims were put in. But if you're saying, what you're saying is that if you have fewer than expected, then we could get some of that money back.
Exactly. So, the risk for a renewal, unfortunately, these renewals on average, even on a given plan year, and if there were no claims, and insurance carriers always, the medical cost of inflation in the medical world is called trend. And so they're typically always after 8 to 10%, all right, even on a great year. So we're always fighting these renewals in that respect. But to answer your question directly, no, there's no risk at all going towards this model. You're not going to get pinged in any additional renewal for being on this. But what it does do is it gives us further data. And when we have data, we have our primary underwriter is in Orlando, and we can give our underwriter that data who can completely underwrite this, and it gives us strength going back to these carriers negotiating. Because right now, we have very limited data that you get from Blue Cross in the mid-market, so this balanced funding gives us further strength for future, cost containment.
I'm looking at the balance funded versus the Florida Blue modified plan. And is that Florida Blue modified plan the one you said that the deductible would be $1,000?
Yes, the modified plan is the $1,000 deductible with Florida Blue.
But is it a balanced plan where you
Yes.
can get a return of premium?
Yes, it
What
is.
what are the deductibles now?
The deductible is $500 for an employee only. It's $1,500 for family, and then it would be going to $1,000 and then $3,000. So basically, it would double both of those components. And this should be included in that book laid out on those pages there.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Oh, yeah, no, it'll make you cross-eyed.
The copays go from $40 to $45.
Everything in red is a change from the current plan. So the red notates a change. And if it's red, it's increasing. If it's green, which there is no green on this page, it's better.
There's no green.
Yeah, not on that one.
All right.
I make a motion to approve the balance plan.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the renewal with One Digital Florida Blue at the 11% increase. Any other discussion?
I think we did have a second already.
Yeah.
We were talking about it the other day.
I figured we ought to know my contract. Somebody had better.
I don't know how we do on that, but
We discussed it in length.
yeah.
All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve the renewal of One Digital Florida Blue at the 11% increase. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, guys. Thank you. You'll have a look. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the CEO update, Mr. Krigler.
Yeah, a couple of quick items I wanted to mention. Update on our Edmunds software implementation. We are still having issues with Edmunds in general. We implemented the finance module about a year ago, and we're still having ongoing issues with that. Barbara's going to get into some of the specifics of what she's seeing when she goes over the financials and even some impacts it had for this month. We implemented the member billing module this past May, and once again, still some issues we're working through on that. In addition, we got concerns with the way the inventory module is done. I don't want to go into a laundry list of every single thing we're unhappy with, but I just do want to say that we are preparing a letter to Edmunds to let them know the things we're concerned about. I'll have legal review that from a contract perspective. Basically, to date, it's kind of been Edmunds staff talking to our staff. They've been generally helpful, but there's really just some things that aren't getting resolved, so we're going to have to kind of take it to the next level, kind of put them on notice. So it's just really just to let y'all know that we're having issues and that we're going to, send them, put them on notice and send something in writing about the issues we're having. I do want to mention our cleaning contract. Last year, the board approved the cleaning contract for this building. That one-year contract is up. We went through our procurement policy, got quotes, ended up getting a outfit to do it for significantly less. The current company's doing a fine job, but we were able to save about $10,000 for the year, so we're going to make that switch. So it's under my purchasing authority, so we'll move forward with that. The new company is called JamPro. Wanted to provide a quick update on our lead service line inventory. So I guess about three years ago, I believe EPA put out some new requirements for lead and copper control. This is after the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Part of those requirements are water utilities have to do an inventory of materials in their water system that are used for their water services to each house. You're able to eliminate homes built after 1989 because lead was no longer used in plumbing after that date. So what that did was left us with about under 3,000 homes to check. And what that really means, we have to go to each site, each house, look in the meter box or dig a hole on either side and confirm those materials. Like I said, we started out with about under 3,000 to do. We're down to about 1,200. Clinton's guys have been doing a great job getting through that. We originally thought we were going to have to hire a contractor to get some help, but recent progress, we think we're going to be able to make it through and get them done before October 16th.
Yeah.
So really, we're
Those new trucks.
Yeah.
I told them they couldn't drive the new trucks till they get them done, so.
So that's good news there. I'll report back if we have breaks and stuff, his guys can't do it, they have to get pulled off. So things continue to go smooth, we'll be able to get it done, otherwise we may need some help. But as of right now, we're handling it in-house.
Are we looking at like a penalty or anything if we don't accomplish this in time?
So they talked about that, but
We're not exactly sure what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because they've been moving the target on us on our inventory, specifications, but we're gonna get it done, so we ain't got to
Yeah.
worry about that.
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
and the good thing is we don't have any lead in our system. We won't have any, we'll have to replace. Clint, I believe the whole system's pretty much plastic, right? So
It is.
Yeah.
one of the benefits of not having a historic downtown or something where you have older plumbing,
It
so.
was hard to get those pipes across the swamp.
Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda is Director's Update, Finance Committee updates, Mr. Love.
I covered for Robbie at a business
Oh, yeah, okay.
event, so I did the budget and O&M, and we are under expenses and over in revenue, which is exactly where we want to be right now, right, Ms. Barber?
That is correct.
Nice.
Thanks to you and your crew,
Thank you.
despite Edmonds.
Despite it.
That's all I got.
All right, capital improvements, Mr. Lyncher.
Moving right on along with the capital projects, we really didn't have any expenditures this past month, not anything significant to speak of, but we do have a couple of bills for the elevated tank down at 87 and 98, they'll be coming due this month. So.
Okay. Thank you. Budget O&M, Mr. Campbell.
Over in revenue, under in expenses.
That's been good. SR Regional Reuse Project, the Eglin Project, I'm going to turn this one over to Jeff.
Yeah, so we've given the contractor a notice to proceed. He's gearing up, getting all his equipment and materials ready to mobilize on site. We're expecting them to hopefully start work early September on that project. One thing we're doing, I wanted to report to the board, is we are doing an owner direct purchase of the larger equipment orders. Example of this would be the pipe and fittings. We're going to buy it directly and save the sales tax. This is about $1.8 million in pipe and fittings. 7% of that's about $133,000. So it's well worth doing. So we're going to do that. We'll cut that PO, and then it'll be delivered to the job site, and we'll save that off the project cost. So good news there. And we're looking to do that with some electrical equipment as well. We're still working through those quotes.
Thank you, Mr. Pergler.
Mr. President, I did want to update the board that the CEO and I yesterday attended the Board of County Commissioner agenda review, at which point the Eglin, the easement with Florida Power and Light for the Eglin project, along with the consent agreement, was moved for approval onto the consent agenda, which will be on there for the Thursday meeting for the Board of County Commissioners. So we expect approval there under the consent agenda. We'll then provide that over to Florida Power and Light for execution and delivery to Eglin.
Nice. That's good news. Okay. The Club of Hidden Creek, Mr. Linnell.
Yes. Club had another good month in July, over 60K net profit. So for the year, we're pushing around 260K so far net profit. Spray field expenses are allocated for 190 this year, if I remember correctly. And right now, they have expensed $90K. So we got a little under half spent with more than halfway through the year. So I think, in fact, at least the last month was only FPL, only for electricity. There weren't any other issues. So hopefully that number will stay low. They are doing well. Again, it's weather driven, but even sometimes not weather or maintenance. Last week, they aerated the greens, which cuts back on some people's. However, I have noticed over the year, food and beverage doesn't seem to matter. The diehards come out and they take advantage of the food and beverage. Food and beverage stays up there close to 10K every month. And retail, I keep telling Trey I'll stop being surprised, but I'm not. But he makes sells close to 5K every month on retail, 20K every month on retail. It's just, I never thought the numbers were that high a year ago. So there have been a bunch of improvements out there at the club.
Nice.
And the other thing is tax return, but I think that's on the agenda
It is.
tonight.
Yeah, we have an item for that as well.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
I'd like to ask, not necessarily for tonight, but if we're going to be making decisions about whether or not to sell the golf course on September 5th at 6 p.m., I'd like to know what capital projects Hidden Creek has coming up over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes.
Replacement of the roof, you know.
Yeah, so we've had discussions on that, and we have a list. We don't have like a full report or anything by a third party, but we have our ideas of what needs to be done.
And some costs associated with that. Yeah, I'd like to have that available for the 5th, if possible.
Fairpoint Regional Utility System.
I don't have anything new on Fairpoint. Phil, can you think of anything? It's going pretty smoothly out there.
Yeah.
I don't have any news on Fairpoint.
Boost your pump. And we have Mr. Phillips for Municipal Engineering Services.
Just a couple of minor things. We, meaning Municipal and Holly Navarre, are about to lose some support on the GPS equipment we use for various things. While we were in Daytona, we looked at a new instrument that's out that will have future support. We're probably going to buy 1 or 2 of those for hauling of our water as a return of some profit. The cost is below mine and Jeff's spending authorization, so that we'll be doing that. Mark has mentioned a couple of items related to the camera that we purchased that he's also thinking about adding. I think those items will be below our purchasing authority too, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Beyond that, we continue just to stay busy with more work than we can get done. So.
Okay, good.
And Mr. President, I have I just want to make sure that I said it correctly. I know I messed up or started to on the retail side, but food and beverage, roughly 40K a month out there at TC at the club. Now Danielle and her crew do a great job. And then Trey on the retail is 20K a month, 5K a week, and then 10K a week on the food and beverage. They do well. I just want to make sure I said those numbers correctly.
Thank you.
Any idea on what the margins are?
No, I do not. Not right offhand.
All right.
I can get that.
We can get that.
Under new business agenda, item 4, finance, review of the June 2024 quarterly financials. Mr. Krigler.
Yes, so I'm going to let Barbara cover those, and she's also going to speak a little bit about her admins.
Yeah, just a couple of items to add to Jeff's comment. Some of the issues, 2 of the issues would be the timing of the reports. I know one of the biggest reports that we need for month-end reporting takes upwards of 2.5 to 3 hours to run the one report. So that kind of gets tedious, and they say that it's due to the size of the system or the amount of the data for the system. Then we have, due to turning on the finance linking in June, there's reporting issues that the member services data is not going over to the finance correctly. So we're working on a lot of those issues with Edmonds. Specifically for June, I've noticed the impact fee line item, the accounts receivable, and sewer line extensions. That's not carrying over. Those are only 3 line items that I've caught so far.
So there's probably more.
There's probably more. I'm digging deep as far as I can. So with all of that said, the June numbers are not 100%. But I would ask to maybe approve it as presented, with the thought that we're continuing to find it and correct it as we go. And hopefully in September, we could present a revised, most accurate June number.
Okay. Duly noted.
So with that, the total June currently is revenue is $1,506,181. Expenses of $960,565 with a net of $545,616.
All right. I'm sure all the board members have had a chance to go over the financials. Do I have a motion to approve the June 24 quarterly financial statements as presented?
I make a motion to table the approval of these minutes until next month or these financial statements, until next month when staff will have had time to maybe give us correct numbers. I don't
Okay.
intend on approving bad financial
Right.
statements.
As we know, we're pretty sure there's some mistakes in there because of the software, right? So I
It's
agree
all
with Darryl.
software.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with our staff.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second to hold off on the approval of the June 2024 quarterly financials until we're confident they're presented without error. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Sorry. How much, you caught the big things, are we talking, you think the minor, and obviously when you talked about inventory and that sort of thing, so.
The biggest item is accounts receivable
Got
at
it.
this point. So in total net, I'm looking at maybe 80,000
Okay,
that I found.
thanks.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Actually, the it's about $800,000 in the balance sheet. Is that about right? Or are we thinking something different?
Not on specific line items.
Yeah, I'm talking about
If
total.
you're talking total,
I'm talking total, it's about $800,000 roughly. I'll show you after the meeting.
yeah, sure.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
I missed that one. I missed that extra zero, is that what?
All right. Any more discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Darryl. Administration, 2025 Holland Bar Water System 55th Annual Board Election coming up already. Mr. Krigler.
Yes, it is that time of year again. So we got a couple of things we want to do tonight. There's three actually. First, we want to approve a new director for the canvassing committee. Director Linchard serves on that right now. So the board will decide if he wants to continue or appoint somebody new. The second thing we do is there's a very minor change in our election policy. Currently, it says that we'll reimburse the time for the Santa Rosa County election workers, not the supervisor elections, but the workers that come and help. We pay for their time. Currently, it says 2. Well, in the past couple of years, we've used 3, we've used 4. So they send more than 2. Like last year, I believe last year we did use 4. So we want to take that number 2 out and just we think keep it a little more flexible so that if they send 3 or we need 4, that we can do that and pay them. And like I said, last year was 4 and it went real well. And then the third thing is just our overall timeline and the election documents. The biggest change in the timeline this year is the candidate application process. So the supervisor election, since this is a presidential election year, requested that we have the approved candidates to her by October the 9th. To do that, we have to have our our application period plus background checks done by really October the 3rd, when we're planning to have a special meeting. So to do all that, we would open the candidate window essentially tomorrow and run that through September 19th. Then October 3rd, we'd have a special meeting, approve the candidates. That information would go to Taffy, or assuming she'll see the supervisor, and that'll allow her to continue on her schedule. So like I said, she just wants to get that done early because this is one of her busiest year of her of the 4 years for elections. So those are the kind of 3 things we want to do tonight. We did keep the rest of the timeline the same. It went real well last year. I think the whole election was pretty smooth last year. I don't recall any real changes we had to make. We did do a kind of a lessons learned meeting with the supervisor elections afterwards. I don't think we had any changes proposed. We thought it went real well. So we definitely don't want to fix what isn't broken. So we're recommending we keep that same schedule, like I said, except for this candidate application period.
There's always been 7 weeks for proxy voting and absentee?
I think it's gone in between 5 to 7, I thought, over the years.
What has, I didn't ask, I didn't hear the question.
Period for
Proxy voting of 7 weeks?
how long it's open for.
It just looked long to me. I make a motion that Mike Matthews be nominated for the canvassing committee since he'll be here.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Matthews, you are now the director of
make
the
a
canvassing
motion.
committee.
I was gonna blurt it out.
I make a motion, we approve the 2024 election documents as presented.
Second. I've got a motion and a second to approve the documents as presented.
2025, sorry.
2025. Any discussion?
So how are we going to socialize this? I mean, for candidates, we're talking...
Multiple ways.
2 weeks.
It'll be in the newspaper, website, all that stuff.
Okay.
Newspaper won't be till what, Friday? And then website will be tomorrow. We'll start working on all that.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the documents as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We've also got the timeline to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the timeline?
That wasn't part of the...
Yeah.
What was the third thing, Jeff? Was it the timeline?
There's 4 things: approve timeline, approve documents, approve.
Yeah, I think he combined
Mine was everything.
He combined it.
This was everything.
Yeah, the only thing that mine didn't include was a new canvas in there. And we took care of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the timeline is covered by that last one. And the updated election policy?
All the election documents as presented.
As it presented, okay. So good. Okay, we just covered a lot of bases right there, I like that. Okay, next item on the agenda, we've got to discuss the messy corporate tax returns.
Yeah, so both Messi and the club's tax returns are due by September 16th. So first, we're going to look at the Messi tax returns prepared by Warren Averett. Phil and I have glanced through them, and we're comfortable with them, so we recommend approval.
I make a motion to approve Messi's 2023 corporate income tax return as presented.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve messy corporate tax returns.
And this authorizes the president to sign it as well? Or is that already covered?
He has signed them in the past.
No, I know, but last year there was something about we approved the taxes and then we didn't approve who could sign them. I'm easy with it.
Yeah.
I'm easy with it, I just want to make sure it's in, I didn't remember that.
Seems like I'm discussing something.
Okay.
Seems like that's you. Hefe.
Hefe?
Yeah. Okay, so if I read this correctly, approve to file the messy corporate tax returns by September 16th. That would cover whoever needs to sign it, I'm guessing.
There you
So,
go.
right? So I've got a motion and a second to approve to file the messy corporate tax returns by September 16th. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And we have the same discussion for the Club at Hidden Creek corporate tax returns. Need to be filed by September 16th as well. Do I have a motion to approve to file the TCHC corporate tax returns by September 16th?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second.
Our accountants aren't here.
They are not.
I had a question about the Club increase tax return. The income this year is much higher than I would have expected based on the audits and.
For 23, the 23 number?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly ask them.
Do you have a specific page that you're looking at, Daryl?
I'm just looking at where it made $287,000. It's page one of the four.
Yeah, that's enough.
If you look at that audit.
Well, that was,
We don't know what comes out of that number after. Last year was a banner year. That's a big banner year.
I make a motion to approve the Club at Hidden Creek's tax return once.
We already have a motion.
We already have a
Second.
motion.
We'll have to do
We've
it.
already got a motion and a
Oh,
second.
sorry about that.
Mike and Don.
I made a mistake. I think well, can we amend the motion to allow for the president and CEO to ask the question as to why the corporate tax return does not match the audit?
I would think so.
The audited financial statements, if you look at them, I think the Club at Hidden Creek had a small loss. Mark, you working on that?
I'm trying to get down to the Club at Hidden Creek.
Yeah.
It's on Holly Bar Water, it got
Yeah.
jumped up a little bit.
Well, it needs to be Holly Bar Water Systems audit.
Oh, well. You want to look?
I just need, well, I don't know where that audit is. Is this where it was at?
That's the audit, it's on the audit. Or go up one page. Or you can click on this tab, the audit, and it'll take you right to the top of it. You screenshotting all of that?
I'm just remembering last year's.
Income from operations, according to the 2023 financial statement audit, were $19,415. Right here. Income from operations, income and loss from operations, and that would have been after depreciation. And that's for the Club at Hidden Creek. You see that? Yep. Okay. And the tax return is $287,000.
287 seems way high to me too.
So I want the CEO and the.
Yeah, we'll ask them what the difference
question to
is.
The accountants and get some, have a good feeling before they sign it, send it off.
And you're sure that's not before depreciation?
That's after.
Just looking right at the audit.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with him with what it says.
The audit was from our,
I certainly remembering differently, but that's not what that says.
There may be a good explanation
Yeah,
for it. I would just like to
right.
hear it before we sign it.
I don't want to guess what the accountant would say.
So remove
So-
my motion,
Or amend it?
amend it. Okay.
Amend it and add the portion that says the CEO and president will get clarification from the accountants.
I amend my motion until the CEO and accountant.
Good job.
It's okay.
What Darrell said. amend my motion to have the CEO and the accountant make sure that the audit and financials match up.
Tax return and audit.
Tax return.
Yeah, tax return.
And the audit.
Just a clarification
Good.
as to the difference.
Not why.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Matthews has updated his motion.
Should we do this as a board action without a meeting after they have answered that question and satisfied?
I just didn't, I was trying to get the motion done tonight, but we can wait and get that.
Or do it on the 5th.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
We're gonna need an answer.
Yeah.
And if the answer is anything other than as written.
That's what I was.
Well, we're running out of time, kinda.
Well, it's September.
We gotta do
Push it out.
We gotta move on. We can't push it to the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, so I think at this point, the board wants to hold off on approving the Clover Hidden Creek's tax returns. Am I correct in assuming this?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you got a motion to a second, so you either,
Well,
unless Mike withdraws it.
Mike, you want to withdraw your motion?
I withdraw the motion.
Mike withdraws
The
the
tax
tax.
return.
So now there's no motion on the table. And I think we just need some clarification on that before we proceed.
Yep, we'll look at that.
So we'll take a look at that on the meeting on September 5th as well. All right, so we're gonna hold off on number 7. This is an interesting one. Mr. Krigler got the sole source procurement motor controllers.
Yes, so as you know, we are upgrading our SCADA system to VT SCADA. And to do that, we're going to have to upgrade our motor controllers at our lift stations. We want to start that process this year. Mark Turner's kind of laid out a plan for how he wants to integrate VT SCADA at the lift stations and then the water wells and the wastewater treatment plant. It's about a 3-year process. But even if we didn't go to VT SCADA, we still got to upgrade these controllers. The other system, data flow system, they have an upgrade where we have to make the switch anyway. So either we're going to buy new data flow controllers or upgrade here for our VT SCADA upgrade, and we're choosing to do this now since we're already planning to go to VT SCADA. So we don't want to invest more money in what's going to be an outdated system. So this is really just kind of accelerating the replacement of these for our VT SCADA implementation. This particular item is for 16 controllers. And the reason it's sole source is very similar to why our pumps, why our meters are. They keep these things, spare parts. They want to be interchangeable. And just for standardization so they can, train a guy on one type of instrument instead of multiple controllers. So we think this makes sense. And we have the funds approved this year in the 2024 VT SCADA budget line to pay for this. So.
Was this part of the thing you guys were referring to earlier with the?
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah.
If it
There's
actually
also-
with the government.
There's a cybersecurity component
Is
to
that
it.
part of that?
And that is that what we're currently doing is not as secure. When we get these controllers and upgrade to VT SCADA, it will be a more secure system.
You just want to be careful what you're talking about here.
Right.
But there will be some recommendations they made to us.
Yes.
We don't want to tell anybody to do nefarious exactly what they are, but yeah, there'll be some extra things that will be in the budget upcoming just to keep us up to date.
But this came about because
Check.
they
Yeah.
got involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I think that's what Mike was saying.
Yes, it was.
All right, very cool.
All right.
And right now, this money's already in the budget
Yes.
for this equipment. So staff recommends we approve sole source purchase of 16 cell motor controllers from EMC SEL. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, yeah.
And Mike. I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have, the first proposal is to buy the HT4 units, so that DFS will work. And then the second side says to get rid of DFS.
Yeah, so he presented, Mark had given us this note, he presented two options. if we stay with the data flow, we have to upgrade, and this is the cost to stay with data flow. We're not doing that. He's recommending what's on the second page, which is the VT SCADA route, and that's
He
upgrading.
was just showing you the cost of what, to keep data flow active, what it would
Okay.
cost us to do that.
Right.
And we're transitioning away from data flow. So he just put that in there as a reference to
Yeah.
what it would cost us if we was to continue on with data flow.
Okay, so we don't want to do what's on the first.
No, we do not.
page.
No.
Okay.
Right. Correct.
Any further discussion from the board?
My question was the fiscal impact on our agenda says it's 126,535, but it looks like it's 148, or am I misunderstanding the numbers?
You talking about in his memo?
Yeah, and
He's already purchased the training and 2 of the units already. So this is the purchase of the remaining 6.
the remaining side,
Yeah.
okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? I have a motion and a second to approve sole source purchase of 16 SEL motor controllers from EMC. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, we're moving on down to engineering, Mr. Phillips. Anything you need to share with us?
See the water loss, I think she's closer to what a real number is there at 7.7%. They're still struggling with Edmonds and being able to match the time period of who used, what was used versus what was pumped. But I do believe she thinks that she's got it kind of narrowed down now. Clinton can comment if he believes otherwise. On the I&I side, we're still seeing it. Mark's been working on it. He's identified a couple of areas, and hopefully over the next 4 to 6 months, we'll knock out a bunch of that. So, or hopefully the rain will stop and the groundwater will go down too and help us out a little bit in the meantime. So,
It's a double-edged sword. You needed to identify it, and if you don't have it, it's good because we're not getting it. Can't fix it if you don't know where it is.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Phillips.
I got one question on the plans. There's some preliminary plans we're waiting on for almost a year. Is that kind of normal when, in addition to food truck sort of things, that we've got a bunch of them down there at the bottom of, it's page 240, I don't know.
it's pretty common
is that
for
common?
someone to submit something that's, I don't want to say pie in the sky, but they might have to do a lot of work to figure out how to finance it, make it happen. So they'll ask for a letter of availability, and then we won't see, we may never see anything.
So, okay, so that's
The
normal.
letter may expire.
All right,
So,
thank
yeah,
you.
That's not uncommon.
Thanks for educating me. Sorry.
No, that's perfect, thank you. All right, next on the agenda here, we have a member forum. I've got 2 members that signed up to speak that we haven't heard from yet. Hope Bush,
Oh,
Did you want to
I
speak?
just thought we had to sign in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't you have something to say?
I'm about to see on the board of directors.
Okay,
And I am a liaison to all governmental agencies, including the water board, glad to meet all of you. If there's anything I can, anything I need to know, or the board needs to know, I'm available.
I'm sure we'll be in touch, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bush, appreciate
And I
that.
apologize, Mr. Cook, for not returning his phone call when we
Yes,
returned my phone.
right.
But I know you're busy.
Right.
Just
You too.
involved.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And seeing nobody else step up, I'm going to assume that we've heard from everyone that wants to speak tonight. And next thing we have to do is adjourn the meeting, gentlemen.
Second.
Do I have a
So
motion?
Second.
Motion and a second down there. Meeting is adjourned.